stuff. And it brings me back to, and this I've talked about in the campaign trail. We run a trial team is what we do, and we were in a litigation firm. And I was out in Rock County with Judge Rothy. I won't say the plaintiff's name, but we were in a jury trial in 2000, I believe, 7. It was my first jury trial experience. And I was in a situation that kind of changed my career and my outlook on people. And in that jury trial, we had an African-American woman who was our client and a Caucasian doctor who we were trying the malpractice case against. And there was some interesting things that went on in that case. But when the case was finally over, and in the middle of the testimony, I mean, towards the end of the case, in the middle of the testimony of the doctor, she turned to this jury and said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, so we can't quote, I don't have the transcript, but basically turned and said, I'm sorry, this happened. It was a very unfortunate result. It was a Caucasian jury, a Caucasian doctor, and an African-American woman who was our client. The jury found my client or the doctor to be not negligent in this malpractice case. And when I was polling the jury, what bothered me was they judged my client. They judged her because of the way she looked, because of the way she presented herself in court, because she was an African-American woman and they were Caucasian. That really stuck with me. And there were some other issues in the case where we had to file an appeal, and I filed an appeal. And the reason I filed an appeal was because that decision of the jury was not right. And no matter what I did, we tried the case the best we could, and we couldn't change the result. Jury speaks on its own. But I found that in the human nature of that particular case, that client was not treated fairly. We did everything we could. I think we appealed it to the Court of Appeals. I think I appealed it to the Supreme Court of Wisconsin as well. But I was passionate about it, and I then litigated all of my cases saying that I don't care if you're male or female, black or white, young or old, handicapped or not handicapped. I'm going to treat you the same way I want to be treated, and that is I'm going to work as hard as I can to make sure you get a fair result, because sometimes the justice system doesn't yield a fair result, but my efforts were of such that I was motivated for the future to treat my clients and now the people who come before me in my courtroom as fair as possible, because there is absolutely zero room for prejudice and discrimination in the courtroom. I don't care if it's prejudice against, it doesn't matter what you're saying, orientation, ethnicity, gender, social status. Everybody should be treated fairly, and that really bothered me. And I took a stand and made the decision to change the way that I effectively was going to run my legal career, and that's how I still operate.